Imagine you're caught in that all too familiar situation. Someone you care about starts to drift away, or worse, ignores you entirely. One moment, you're the center of their world, and the next, you seem invisible. You try everything to reconnect, to make them notice you, but it only seems to push them further. The more you chase, the more distant they become. If this feels all too real, don't worry, there's a way out. By embracing ancient Stoic wisdom, we can learn the art of detachment. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control others' actions, we can control our reactions. By focusing on our own emotional resilience and self-worth, we can reclaim our peace and find empowerment in moments of turmoil. So, take a deep breath, and let's explore how you can regain control over your emotional well-being and find serenity, no matter what life throws your way. Self-worth is like the deep roots of a tree. It's the internal belief in your value, not dependent on what others think or do, but anchored in who you are at your core. It's that quiet voice inside that reassures you that, regardless of your mistakes or triumphs, you hold intrinsic value simply because you exist. This self-worth doesn't need to be flaunted or validated through external achievements. It's a deep, quiet confidence that sustains you in the face of life's challenges. Now, personal validation is the practice of affirming your own worth without waiting for the applause of the world. It's about finding value in yourself, irrespective of others' judgments. It's understanding that, while external recognition can be fleeting, the validation you give yourself is constant, rooted in your actions, decisions, and principles. This kind of validation is a form of freedom because it places the power of your self-esteem in your own hands, not in the hands of others who may or may not see your value. What's truly intriguing is the paradox at the heart of self-worth and personal validation. The more you affirm your own value, the less you depend on external validation. When you stop looking for permission from others to feel worthy, you begin to experience a quiet revolution within yourself. You become like a lighthouse, steadily shining with confidence, no matter the storm around you. People are drawn to your light, not because you are seeking attention, but because you are already whole. Living with true self-worth and personal validation is transformative. It allows you to navigate relationships, career choices, and life's ups and downs from a place of inner strength, knowing that your value doesn't fluctuate based on the opinions of others. Instead, you are a testament to the quiet power of self-acceptance, your own personal sanctuary, unshaken by external winds. In essence, self-worth is not something to be sought, it is something to be realized. Personal validation is not a badge of honor from the outside world, but a living affirmation of your own authenticity. When you give it to yourself, you stop chasing approval and start living as the most confident, resilient version of who you are. Stop the chase. These 3 words carry the weight of a subtle yet powerful shift in mindset, one that has the potential to free you from the endless pursuit of approval, success, and validation. It's a concept that goes against the grain of modern culture, which often encourages us to keep striving, competing, and hustling for something just beyond our reach. But what if the most powerful thing you could do was stop running altogether? At its core, stopping the chase is about releasing the need for external validation, whether from relationships, career achievements, or social status, and instead, embracing the freedom that comes from knowing you are already enough. It's about shifting your focus inward, choosing to honor your own path and value without constantly looking over your shoulder at what others are doing or saying. The chase is insidious. It can start with something small, a need to impress others, to be liked, to achieve a certain level of success or recognition. Over time, this desire becomes a relentless force, like a shadow that constantly looms, driving you to keep running faster, farther, hoping that the next milestone will finally bring satisfaction. Yet, the more you chase, the more elusive satisfaction becomes. It's like running after a mirage. The closer you get, the farther away it seems. But when you stop the chase, you regain your power. You stop measuring your worth by what others think or by what you have yet to achieve. Instead, you embrace the paradox that in releasing the need for external approval, you gain the freedom to pursue what truly matters to you, not because it will earn you admiration or accolades, but because it aligns with your deepest values and desires. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or goals. It means no longer tying your happiness to the outcome. It's a shift from chasing something outside yourself to creating something within you. You start to move through life with a quiet confidence, not frantic or desperate for recognition, but steady and purposeful. You no longer feel compelled to prove yourself because you are already whole. By stopping the chase, you make space for real fulfillment, one that's born not from external achievement, but from internal peace. The irony is that when you stop chasing, you often end up attracting more of what you truly want, because your energy shifts from desperation to intention. People are drawn to the person who is not chasing validation but living authentically, at peace with their own path. So, when you choose to stop the chase, you're not giving up. You're reclaiming your autonomy. You're stepping into the flow of life, rather than running after it. You're not chasing success, you're living it. And in doing so, you invite a deeper, more profound connection to the life you've always wanted, without the exhaustion of the endless pursuit. Cultivating inner peace isn't just about finding calm moments between the chaos. It's about learning to maintain that peace within you, regardless of what's happening around you. Imagine being a still pond in the midst of a storm. While the winds rage and the waters churn, the deepest part of you remains untouched, serene. This is the essence of inner peace, a state of equilibrium where you no longer let external circumstances dictate your emotional landscape. But how do you cultivate such a state of being? How do you become the still pond in the storm? It begins with the realization that peace is not something you find externally, but something you create internally. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, it's easy to be pulled in 1,000 directions: work, relationships, expectations, fears. But true peace comes from the ability to choose where to place your focus, to refuse to be constantly tossed about by the tide of life's demands. One powerful practice is mindfulness, the ability to be fully present in the moment without judgment or distraction. This doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or avoiding difficult emotions. Rather, it's about acknowledging them, allowing them to exist without letting them consume you. In moments of stress, take a breath. Ground yourself in the present. Recognize that you are not your thoughts or feelings. They are simply passing clouds in the sky of your mind. The storm may be raging, but it will pass. And in this awareness, you can find peace. Another key is letting go of attachment. So often, we seek peace and control. If we could just organize our life, avoid conflict, or ensure everything turns out the way we want, we think we'd finally be at ease. But peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrendering to the flow of life. This doesn't mean passivity or resignation. It's about trusting that not everything is within your grasp, and that's okay. You can still move forward, making choices that align with your values, but without the constant need to force outcomes. The practice of gratitude is also a gateway to inner peace. When we focus on what is good, rather than what is lacking, our hearts and minds naturally open to the present moment. Instead of stressing over what you don't have, reflect on what you do, what's going right in your life right now. It's a shift in perspective that instantly lightens your emotional burden. And perhaps one of the most profound ways to cultivate inner peace is by embracing silence. Silence allows you to tune out the external noise and reconnect with yourself. In those quiet moments, you can hear the wisdom of your own intuition, the peace beneath the surface of your racing thoughts. It's in silence that we often find our truest selves, and from that place, we can build a foundation of peace that no circumstance can shake. To cultivate inner peace is not to eliminate all challenges or difficulties from your life. It's about learning to meet them with a calm heart and a steady mind. When you master this, life no longer feels like a battle to be won. It feels like a dance, an ebb and flow, where you can remain centered, no matter how the world spins around you. It's not the absence of struggle, but the ability to navigate it with grace and composure. And in that, you become a beacon of peace for yourself and for those around you. The power of silence. It's a force that many overlook, yet its effects can be profound. Silence is often seen as mere absence, a void to be filled with words or noise. But in reality, silence is far from empty. It's a space of immense power, a subtle yet transformative tool that, when harnessed, can shape the course of conversations, relationships, and even your own inner world. Imagine for a moment that you're standing in the middle of a bustling crowd, everyone around you speaking, arguing, or pleading for attention. But you are the still point in the center, not reacting, not getting swept up in the chaos. The silence you choose to occupy becomes your fortress, your space of sovereignty. You aren't reacting to the noise, you're standing firm, letting it swirl around you. In that stillness, you begin to reclaim your power. This is the first secret of silence. It gives you control. In a world where everyone is shouting for their opinions, their truths, their agendas, silence becomes a form of rebellion, not passive resistance, but a conscious choice to step out of the frenzy. When you choose silence, you are choosing not to be swept along by the current. You are the one who decides when to speak, when to act, and when to remain still. This gives you a rare kind of control, the control over your own responses, your own emotional state, and your own narrative. The second secret of silence is its ability to magnify your presence. In a society where everyone is vying for attention, speaking louder to be heard, silence paradoxically draws people in. Imagine someone who speaks sparingly but with depth. Each word they say carries weight, each pause is filled with meaning. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's the anticipation of something profound, and people are naturally drawn to it. Silence allows your words to carry more significance. The more deliberate and thoughtful your silence is, the more impactful your presence becomes. Then, there's the magic of silence in conflict. In a heated argument, when emotions are running high and words are flung like arrows, silence acts as a shield. Instead of contributing to the chaos, it reflects back the energy without adding fuel to the fire. Silence often confounds the person who expects you to react. Your lack of response forces them to reassess their own behavior. In this space, you become a mirror, showing them their own actions without uttering a single word. In that moment, you hold the power not through retaliation, but through stillness. But perhaps the most profound power of silence is its ability to connect you to your deepest self. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of your own thoughts, your own desires, your own essence. Silence allows you to reconnect with that inner voice, the quiet whisper that's often drowned out by the noise of the world. When you sit in silence, you create the space to hear your true thoughts and feelings, to find clarity in a world that constantly demands you act and react. It's in this silence that you find your truest sense of self, without the distortion of others' opinions or the pressure of external expectations. Silence is not the absence of communication, it's a communication of its own. It speaks volumes, without saying a word. It's the unsung hero of human interaction, the hidden force that can disarm, empower, and reveal. It's a tool for introspection, a shield in moments of conflict, and a method of establishing your own sovereignty in a noisy world. When you harness the power of silence, you transform it from a passive absence into an active force, one that shapes your life, your relationships, and your destiny. And in that silence, you become not just a listener or a speaker, but a master of your own narrative. Showing, not telling, it's one of the most powerful principles you can apply, not just in storytelling but in life itself. It's the difference between simply saying something and embodying it, between narrating a story and living it. The beauty of this principle lies in its ability to transcend words, creating a visceral connection between your inner self and the world around you. Imagine this: you meet someone who exudes confidence, not because they announce it every 5 minutes, but because their presence radiates it. They don't tell you they're confident, they show you. Their posture, the way they speak, their eyes meeting yours with ease, they communicate powerfully without uttering a single boast. Confidence, in this case, is not declared, it is felt. This is the essence of showing, and it's incredibly magnetic. Now, take this idea and apply it to your own life. Think of the countless moments where you could choose to show rather than tell. You could tell someone that you are trustworthy, but true trust is built over time through actions. You could tell your partner you love them, but love is far more potent when demonstrated through the little things, the patience, the care, the presence in difficult moments. Saying, "I care," doesn't hold the same weight as showing it in the way you listen, the way you sacrifice for them, the way you stand by them when it's hard. Action speaks louder than words because it creates evidence, a concrete truth that cannot be disputed. The principle of showing, not telling, is more than just an approach to interaction, it's a way of living authentically. Think about the way you express your values. You can tell people what you stand for: morality, independence, peace. But until you live those values out loud, they remain just abstract concepts. It's when you take that extra moment to consider how your actions align with your principles that you reveal who you really are. The Stoics taught us that a life aligned with virtue speaks volumes without the need for constant explanation. You don't need to broadcast your integrity if you live it. You don't need to assert your resilience if you embody it. There's also a profound psychological shift that happens when you stop telling and start showing. When you show rather than tell, you stop seeking validation. It's no longer about what others think of you or how well they can read your intentions. It becomes about living in a way that speaks for itself, letting your actions carve out your narrative. You're not waiting for approval or acknowledgement. Instead, your life becomes a testament to the values and qualities you hold dear. This approach is especially powerful in the realm of relationships, whether personal or professional. Consider how much more meaningful it is when someone shows their commitment through consistent behavior, rather than empty promises or grand declarations. It's the same with you. By focusing on actions instead of words, you create trust, deepen connections, and invite respect. You embody the change you seek to inspire in others. Showing, not telling, is also a radical form of self-expression. It invites you to engage in life with a deeper sense of presence. Instead of making your existence about what you tell people about yourself, it becomes about what you do in the world. You no longer need to seek validation or attention. Your authenticity, your purpose, and your clarity become the proof. Your actions, the way you move through the world, the energy you radiate, all of this speaks volumes. So, how do you apply this principle? It's simple, but not always easy. Start with the smallest moments. Choose to show your appreciation through thoughtful gestures, your love through presence, your wisdom through your choices, your strength through your resolve. Instead of talking about how much you've learned, show it in how you act in difficult situations. Instead of explaining how resilient you are, demonstrate it when life tests you. The world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more doers, more people who show up authentically and let their lives tell the story. When you embrace showing, not telling, you step into a life that speaks for itself, a life where your actions, not your words, leave the most profound impact. Rewriting your narrative is not just a metaphor, it's a revolutionary act of reclaiming your life, your identity, and your future. It's the process of stepping off the conveyor belt of expectations and creating a story that is uniquely your own. In a world that often tells you who you should be, rewriting your narrative is the ultimate act of rebellion. It's about consciously choosing what role you play in your life and refusing to be defined by the past, others, or circumstances beyond your control. Think about this. Most of us live out narratives that we didn't even author. Maybe your story was written by your upbringing, your environment, or the influences of others who told you what you could or couldn't be. These narratives become self-imposed prisons, limiting your potential before you've even had the chance to test it. Rewriting your narrative means grabbing the pen and starting to write a new story, one where you are the protagonist, not a bystander. Now, imagine if your life was a book and you were the author. What would the next chapter look like? What would you change? What would you amplify? Rewriting your narrative involves questioning everything you've accepted about yourself, your limitations, your beliefs, your habits, and your reactions. You have the power to stop living in autopilot mode and start creating a life aligned with your values, desires, and highest aspirations. Rewriting your narrative is, at its core, a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you see yourself as an active participant in your own story. It's about reframing your past, not as a series of mistakes or misfortunes, but as experiences that have shaped your strength, resilience, and wisdom. You begin to see each setback not as failure, but as an opportunity to rewrite the next part of your plotline. Every moment is a chance for revision, a new paragraph, a new chapter, a new direction. This process requires an intimate understanding of who you truly are. It's not about playing the part that others expect you to play. It's about shedding all the external roles and stepping into the person you were always meant to be. It requires brutally honest reflection. What have you been telling yourself? What are the limiting beliefs that have kept you stagnant? And most importantly, who do you want to become? Rewriting your narrative doesn't happen by accident. It's a deliberate act of reclaiming your agency and deciding that your story is not written by anyone else, but by you. The beauty of this process is that it's never too late to start. Whether you're 25, 50, or 80, your life is still a blank page, waiting for you to fill it with your own truth. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the past, but we have full control over how we respond to it. The Stoics believe that our perception of events, not the events themselves, shapes our reality. Rewriting your narrative is simply changing the way you perceive your life and choosing to live with intention rather than reaction. But it's more than just a mental shift. Rewriting your narrative requires action. You can't just wish for change. You must create it with deliberate, purposeful steps. Every choice you make is a word in a sentence, every decision a paragraph in your story. This means aligning your actions with the person you're becoming, not the person you were. It's about creating a life that reflects your deepest desires, not your past mistakes or other people's expectations. Here's the kicker: you are the author of your own transformation. No one can rewrite your story for you, and no one can stop you from doing it. When you begin to align your thoughts, words, and actions with the narrative you've decided to create, something powerful happens. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the hero of your own story. Imagine the freedom that comes with taking ownership of your own life. No longer will you feel defined by things that happen to you. You'll realize that you are not bound by the script others wrote for you, and you are not doomed to repeat the same patterns. You have the ability to direct your own narrative, and you can create a future that is full of purpose, fulfillment, and growth. Rewriting your narrative is an invitation to become the best version of yourself, not the version you've been told to be, but the version you've always known was within you. It's a journey of rediscovery, of stepping into your power, of breaking free from the limitations that have held you back. And the most exciting part? You don't have to do it alone. Each step you take is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life, creating a masterpiece of meaning and impact. So, grab that pen and start writing your next chapter. Your story is waiting to be told, and it's up to you to decide how it ends. Be the prize is not just a catchy phrase, it's a mindset that transforms how you engage with the world. Imagine walking into any room, not as someone who seeks approval or validation, but as someone who is already complete. You are the prize. This concept doesn't just shift how others perceive you, it radically shifts how you perceive yourself. At its core, Be the Prize is about cultivating such an intrinsic sense of value and self-worth that you no longer chase after anything external to feel validated. Instead, you become a magnet for respect, admiration, and authentic connection because your life and energy radiate from a place of self-assurance, not need. It's the embodiment of the Stoic principle of self-sufficiency, living a life that doesn't depend on the validation of others to feel complete or worthy. Think about this. Often in life, we chase after external markers of success, approval, recognition, love, fame, money, believing that these things will finally validate us, complete us, make us feel enough. But this chase is a trap. It's a never-ending cycle of seeking something outside ourselves that we believe will fill an internal void. Being the prize means reversing that pattern. It's about choosing to become the kind of person who doesn't seek validation but instead commands it by virtue of their very presence. This shift happens when you begin to align your actions with the highest version of yourself, the person you know you are capable of becoming. You stop asking for permission to live your best life. You stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're worthy. You start living as though you are the prize, because you are. When you internalize this, something powerful shifts in your energy and interactions. People feel it. It's magnetic. It's like a person who has already discovered their own value, and it draws others in, not because they need validation, but because their life reflects their deepest values. Being the prize is not about arrogance. It's about authentic self-respect and self-awareness. It's about making decisions that are in alignment with your core values and passions, not for the sake of impressing others, but because they genuinely fulfill you. This mindset naturally leads you to focus on the things that matter to you, Whether that's pursuing a career that excites you, nurturing relationships that lift you up, or honing skills that make you a better version of yourself. Your happiness, success, and sense of fulfillment are no longer tied to external applause, but to your own internal compass. Imagine entering a relationship, not with the intention of seeking someone to complete you, but with the mindset that you are already complete. You're not out to prove your worth or win someone's affection. You simply add value to the other person's life because you have your own life well lived. This doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you irresistible in a way that doesn't rely on playing games or pretending to be something you're not. It's magnetic because it's authentic. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Being the prize begins with vision, envisioning who you want to be, then aligning your actions with that vision. When you start living according to your highest ideals, you automatically attract the people and opportunities that resonate with those ideals. You become someone who is attractive not for the sake of seeking validation, but for being true to your values. Being the prize also means no longer settling for less than you deserve. In relationships, in work, and in life, when you know you are the prize, you stop tolerating mediocrity or settling for less than what aligns with your highest self. You set boundaries with confidence, and you don't accept anything less than what you know you deserve because you understand that your worth is not negotiable. So, how do you embody being the prize? It's simple, but not always easy. Live with purpose. Cultivate passions and hobbies that nourish your soul. Prioritize your own personal development, your physical health, emotional well-being, intellectual growth, and spiritual peace. And most importantly, make decisions based on who you are becoming, not who you were. When you live as though you are the prize, you stop chasing after life, people, or opportunities. Instead, they begin chasing you, because your confidence, authenticity, and self-respect are magnetic. You become someone who is worthy of admiration not because you demand it, but because you naturally embody the qualities that others respect and value. You are no longer seeking to be chosen, because you realize that you are already the choice. Being the prize isn't about having it all, it's about understanding that you already have enough. You are already enough. And when you fully embrace that truth, everything else in life will reflect it. The world can't help but take notice.